so let's wait for you guys. Fred, I'll start with you because you kindly sat near me. Bit of a tough morning for the team this morning, only 5 laps, I think, on the board. Can you just talk us through what happened out there?
I'm not sure that I will tell you, but no, overall it went very well on the reliability. We did much more than expected. I think we are at something like 5,000 kilometers. It's much more than what we were expecting 3 weeks ago. This morning we had a small issue and we stopped the car for 3 hours. We are also preparing parts to go to Melbourne. It means that somehow we are on some items we are a bit short. But overall it went very, very well on the reliability. It's true for us, but I think it's true for everybody. I was very impressed with the number of laps that every single team did from the beginning of the sessions.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Fred. Welcome, Zach. Welcome, Graham.
A bit late, but
Steve, I'll come to you first. Second. Alpine looked like you've had a really strong test so far. A lot's changed with the team, Mercedes power unit in the back of the car. You obviously spent a lot of time in development since early last year. Are you pleased with the package that you've got to fight for this season?
Pleased. It's a bit strong. There's always a job list, whether you're at the front or the back. We've got a job list. We're confident we've taken a step from last year, but where we stack up, we don't know till Melbourne, honestly. We're all trying to second guess what each other's doing. We're all trying to work out the same calculations. I don't really know, but I think we're better than last year, but where we sit, I don't know.
Okay, well, that sounds encouraging still, nonetheless. Zach, I'll come to you next. Defending champions, obviously, on both titles this year. From what you've learned in testing, what kind of car do you think the team have produced, and do you think you're going to be in the mix again this year from what you've learned?
Yeah, I think we've produced a good car. I think we'll be in the Big Four. I don't think we're in the front of the Big Four, but it's going to be a long season with a lot of development. We're still learning, but I think we're in a good starting position. But I think the red guys and the silver guys, I think, are looking very strong, and I don't think we've seen everything yet at a Red Bull, but I think we're definitely in the top 4.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Zach. Graham, I'll come to you next. Bit of a bumpy day for the team yesterday, but it felt like you made up for it and we're back on track today. Just sum up kind of where you guys are at the minute ahead of your debut in Australia.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't read too much into yesterday. Yesterday was day 9 of running a Formula 1 car, and today's day 10. And, we're up against teams who've been doing this for a very, very long time. I'm very happy. We're working through the program, had no major issues, just small issues that I think every team in the paddock will have had before. Extremely happy with the way that the team is working together. We've got a lot of experienced people in the team, as I think people will have seen, but the experience of working together as Cadillac Formula 1 team is less than 12 months. But I would say, to sum it up, very happy, extremely happy with the team, very, very happy with the platform that we're building, and can't wait for Melbourne.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Graham. And Toto, just coming to you. Just getting your watches sorted, yeah?
Yeah,
with Fred.
We're trading stuff.
Toto, Zach kind of alluded to it, but there's been a lot of talk of just how good you guys have looked through testing. You've had the favourite tag around your neck, but then you've had some bumpy days. So just, sum it all up from where you think you guys are at the minute.
I think first of all, it's a relief that we started testing and it actually feels decent. The drivers are quite pleased with the car, and then on the stopwatch, we know that we're not miles off, and that was the case in all of the last 3 or 4 years that we had. Now, as Zach said, we don't really know where everybody stands, because 10 kilograms of fuel load can make 3 to 3.5 tenths of a second in lap time difference. So you can kind of best guess where everybody is, and I would say, it's 4 teams at the moment. That it's pretty much the usual suspects in either way, and I would think we are part of the group that can compete at the front.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Toto, and thanks everyone. I'm going to open it up to the floor now. Just raise your hand, please, and let me know your name and publication.
Craig Slater from Sky Sports. A question for Fred and for Toto. The FIA have laid out a pathway in terms of how to deal with this compression ratio question with regard to the power units. Are you satisfied with what they've proposed? And in terms of you, Toto, would you be confident that your power unit would pass this operating temperature test coming in August?
Fred, you were expecting it, I'm sure?
But first, we don't have a clear decision today. It means that it's quite difficult because we have to send the engine to Melbourne in 2 days' time now. That it's a challenge. But overall, we have to trust the system. I'm convinced that we will find a solution between us, and then we have to follow the process of the governance of the Formula One. But if it's a shame, it's more on the delay and the timing than something else.
Toto?
Yeah, for me, either way works. Either we stay with the regulations like we are, or the e-vote goes ahead on Friday with the proposal that came from the FIA. Both okay for us.
Thanks, Toto. Next one, please.
Ronald Fording, motorsport.com. It's another one to Toto, a follow-up to this, because last week you told us you kept the FIA in the loop throughout the entire process. So given that, is it frustrating that it has been put up for voting, that it came this far, or do you think, given the political pressure, this is a fair compromise?
We said it all along that this looks like a storm in a teacup, the whole thing, and numbers were coming up that were, if these numbers would have been through, absolutely understand why somebody would fight it, but eventually, it's not worth the fight. It doesn't change anything for us, whether we stay like this or whether we change to the new regulations, and it's been a process. But we also want to be good citizens in the sport. Because it doesn't make a big difference, we then just changed opinion. Philosophically, you can disagree with it, because I believe regs are there to be made, and you keep the FA close to you, and that's how it should be. But, if you have 4 other PUs that are putting immense pressure on the FA at a certain stage, what choice do we have than not to play? We were pretty comfortable in even having a protest going on Friday, but in Melbourne. But is this what we want?
Thanks, Toto. Next one, please.
Ed Straw, the race one for Toto. There's a lot of stories around about fuel. Can you just explain where you are with the fuel? Will you have the final blend ready to be homologated in time for Australia? And if not, what can you run, and what will the implications be of running potentially a different blend in the interim?
This is another of these stories. We were told compression ratio is something that we were illegal, which is total bullshit. Utter bullshit. And now the next story comes up that our fuel is illegal. I don't know, it's where that comes from, and it starts spinning again. Maybe tomorrow we're inventing something else. That I don't know. I've been on the Epstein files. God knows what. I mean, you're not happy with me saying that, no? I was too young. What? Yeah, I mustn't say that. So you make a protest now, no? Another nonsense. This is a complicated topic and the process and all of this, but there's just can't even comment.
Thanks, Toto. Next one, please.
Thomas Marplanet, F1.com, one for Toto, Zach and Steve, and if Graeme and Fred want to weigh in as well. Given the compression ratio issue could be seen as just a matter of interpretation rather than a fundamental flaw in the regulations, do you believe the governance structure has been weaponised overly over the last couple of weeks and months? And if it is to pass, if this compression ratio test does come about, do you believe that F1 will remain a meritocracy?
Zach, do you want to take that one?
I don't make power units. We just have a great power unit in the back of our race car that we've won a couple championships with. Yeah, I mean, ultimately the governance of the sport is very strong. It's passed all the tests, so we're not worried about it. Whatever great engine Mercedes produces, we'll put it in the back of our car and go racing.
Toto, it's your engine.
Formula One is a meritocracy. And we don't want any balance of performance, and I think that philosophically we need to stick to it. You've developed a component to the regulations, and that's been confirmed, and then everybody else gangs up and says it's illegal. the regulator is being put under pressure. Is that how it should go? Philosophically, I disagree, but that's what has happened the last 50 years in Formula One. And this time we were on the receiving end. I guess next time maybe, you know, we will be ganging up against somebody else because we believe it's not right.
Steve, it was also directed to you. Do you want anything?
I agree with Toto, honestly. We've seen similar things before. It's a bit unfortunate that we're this close to the start of the season and this is the story, but hopefully the FIA will deal with it properly and we'll move on.
Great stuff. Thanks, Steve. Next one, please.
Fred Ferrari, keep question to Toto and Fred, sorry. There is topics about the start procedure. What have you said and can it be changed before Melbourne?
The issue that, you know, it's quite tricky to get these cars going. Some take a little bit longer to get all the, you know, process going, and some not. And I think the FIA came now up with a good solution to make sure that there is not carnage on the start. I don't know if you agree, but.
Basically, yes, but no. But overall, the story is also that we raised the end 1 year ago with the FIA about the starting procedure, that it was tricky. I think everybody knew that without the H, it will be a tricky phase of the weekend, and the FIA decided to not change the procedure. By the way, we all took decision on the architecture of engine based on the regulation. And okay, but I think the new procedure with the flashing lights, it's fitting with everybody. Everybody's happy with this. We all think that it's safe, and let's go like this. That if someone is a bit on the not convinced, that we can always start from the pit lane if it's not safe.
Thanks, Fred. Next one, please.
Björn Werdheim, Viaplay Sweden. A question for Fred. We've seen a few really innovative solutions that you come up with lately. Have you got anything else up your sleeve? I know you're going to keep that front wing for Melbourne, or rear wing, sorry.
No, we won't put the front wing at the rear, if it was the question. Yeah, but I think everybody is doing innovation. Sometimes it's visible, sometimes it's not. I'm sure that our competitors and everybody on the grid is doing exactly the same. That it's true that the last two bits that we bought on track were visible from outside, but it's not a big difference with the others. And I don't know if it will be for Melbourne or for the next one.
Thanks, Fred. Next one, please.
MotorSport.com. Ferrari wants to take it really. Andrea Stella last week, alongside the start procedure, also raised some concerns about the closing speeds of these cars at certain circuits. I guess the conclusion from yesterday was that you need a bigger sample size to see if it really is an issue, but is that something you agree with? Are you sort of comfortable going to a circuit like, say, Jeddah with the rules as they are at this point?
Who wants to take that?
I already took it.
Graham, let's go, Graham.
I think it's very clear all teams take safety very, very importantly. There's nothing worse than having people injured in motorsport or any sport. So, I know that from a team point of view, it's something that we take seriously. But also, there's a lot of trust in the FIA, in the regulation, and in the rules. And I think it's very sensible that everybody's learning. We're taking this opportunity here while there's testing time available to learn, and there's no downside of doing that. So I think there's no team that's going to put a driver in any sort of danger. That's for sure.
Thanks, Graham. Let's move on. Next one, please.
Nigel Chu, Sky Sports. Just a question to Toto. Just to clarify about the engine saga, if the proposal does go through and there is a change in August, I think last week you said it might be quite damaging if there is a change. So with the way the power unit is now, is that going to affect you guys? Will you guys have to make changes?
I think the way it's been done now, that it needs to be compliant to the regulations when it's cold and when it's hot, doesn't give anybody an advantage. Because I think the attempt was from the other guys to have it only measured hot, so they could actually have it cold outside of the regulation. So now it's a fair game for everyone.
Thank you, Toto. Next one.
Luke Smith from The Athletic. Maybe for Toto and for Zach, we're, 3 weeks away from Melbourne, and there's been a lot of focus on possible technical changes before the new season. We've spent a lot of years building up to 2026. How tricky is the balance to strike for Formula One, making changes that may be necessary pre-Melbourne, and also letting us get into the first few races, basically see what it's like before casting any big judgments?
I think it's a combination of both. I think we're all learning a lot right now. Every session, we're learning more about the car. I think we all want what's best for the sport, and we'll still have a little bit of testing to go. And we're going to try some stuff here over the next couple of days, evaluate, and if we need to make a change, I think some of the changes that have been proposed you could do pretty quickly, so I don't think we know the answer now, but at the end of the day, the sport will do, we'll all come together and do what produces the best racing.
I think what became clear yesterday in the F1 Commission was really positive, that in the past we would be victim of ourselves taking drastic or draconian decisions in an incompetent group like the F1 Commission. Having said that, there's more engineers now in the group, so you can't blame us being on planet Mars. So it was good to evaluate, to agree on some things, rather than knee-jerk on some quick decisions like in the past. And let's see how this is all going to evolve. Melbourne is also energy-wise a very difficult track, so we are going to see from the beginning on where the problems can be, and then develop from there and find solutions that are in the best interest of all stakeholders.
Thank you, Toto. Next one, please.
Tim Herney, TSN. Question for Zach. Zach, the women's gold medal hockey game is tonight. Canada is taking on the United States. Just want to know if you'll be watching, and if you are, what is your prediction and why?
I like my hockey. I predict the team with the most goals wins.
Thanks very much, Zach. Next one, please.
Diretta Colombo Automoto, a question for Fred. I know it's still very early days and it's difficult to gauge the competitive picture at the moment, but who's the benchmark in your opinion?
Well, as Zach and Toto said before, I think it's very, very difficult to have a clear picture of performance. And I think the most important is that the relative performance of Melbourne won't be probably the picture at the end of the season. We have all the teams on the grid a huge rate of development today. It means that it will be more based on the capacity of the team to develop and to bring parts quickly on track than on the picture of the performance in Melbourne. But I prefer to be in a good shape in Melbourne. But overall, so far, it's still tight. I think this morning you had two cars in less than 200 of seconds, and we have no clue about the engine, about the level of fuel, of tons of parameters that is making a much bigger difference than the 200s of difference between the two cars.
Thank you, Fred. One more, please.
Cyprien Juillard, Auto Hebdo. Question for Fred, Zach and Toto. As you said, all your teams are looking good in this pre-season, with Red Bull also. So my question is, with the cost cap, we expected the smaller team to catch up to the top team, and it looks like the top team still has an advantage. How do you explain it? Is it because you have better people, better infrastructures? What is the reason?
Who fancies that one? Oh, Fred. You can't dob Toto in. Come on.
I don't have a clear explanation. That it's the convergence of performance will arrive, but will arrive after seasons. And if you have a look, last year it was probably the best season in terms of close competition, but it was also after 5 years of the same regulation. Year the gap will be a bit bigger, but we will have the same convergence, and I'm sure that during the season you will have a catch-up from the team who are today at the back, and they could even be faster. You have also the allowance of wind tunnel time, who is making a difference during the season. No, I'm sure that even if you start with different potential, different lap time, we will have this kind of convergence quite soon.
Toto?
Yeah, I totally agree with Fred, and obviously over the years really. Over all those years, you gain knowledge, but there's many very competent teams and many very competent people on the grid. You can see how quickly you can turn around things. I mean, McLaren was really struggling for some years, and then, you know, within a couple of races, or within a few races, the team re-emerged like the Phoenix, and has been winning championships since then. So there's always equal opportunity for everyone. Someone that is in the midfield today or is not as competitive as they would wish to be, who knows 6 months down the line where they are.
Great stuff. Zach, anything to add?
Well, I mean, it kind of starts with the CEO, doesn't it? Just joking. It's people. You know, we've all got great technology, wind tunnels, et cetera. I think in our case, we've got a fantastic culture with all the men and women at McLaren. We have a lot of stability. We haven't had much change in the team. So I just think we've got a great ways of working. Also have a great driver lineup, as do many other teams. And I think when you put that all together, even though the margins are very thin, I think that ultimately makes a difference. But as Fred said, I think it's early days and things will consolidate here pretty quickly.
Great stuff, Zach. Thanks very much. And that's all we've got time for. Thanks, gentlemen, for your time, and enjoy the rest of the test.